Welcome to Present Truth Broadcast with Pastor Maxwell Ogaga, brought to you by Present Truth Ministry, a teaching ministry where believers are trained to be established in the truth of God's Word.
For money, it's something that should be held in high esteem. So we're looking at treasures and waste. We're going to read Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 20, and then we're going to build from there. Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 20. We're looking at treasures and waste. Proverbs 21 verse 20. Remember, we're not putting the scriptures up on the slide, so you have to look up your scriptures. I'm going to use 5 translations, and I just want to observe something. Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 20. Just write that up on the slide for me. Fantastic. It says, the NIV translation says, the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down. I want you to observe the word gulp. You know, it's not just sipping, they gulp it. The NLT says, the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. I want you to observe the word, the fools spend whatever they get. Spend whatever they get. The ESV, the English Standard Version, says, precious treasure and oil are in a wise man's dwelling, but the foolish man devours it. A foolish man devours it. The Berean Study Bible says, precious treasures and oil are in the dwelling of the wise, but the foolish man consumes them. The New American Standard Bible says, there is a precious treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man swallows it up. The King James Version, your favorite version, there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. So I want you to observe here, there are 2 categories of people. They're talking about the wise and what? And the foolish. Okay, that's not you. Just talking about the wise and the foolish man. You're the wise one. All right. Now, I want you to observe in each of the translations. If you're writing, I want you to write this down. I want you to observe each of the words used for the foolish man. Number 1, he gulps. Number 2, he spends. Number 3, he devours. Number 4, he consumes. Number 5, he swallows. Number 5, he spendeth. So you find out that the foolish, this is what characterized their life. Swallowing, devouring, gulping, spending, consuming. You don't find words like save, nurture, grow, productive, invest in the vocabulary of the foolish. What do? They spend, they consume, they devour. Sometimes the devil is not the devourer, it's foolishness that is the devourer. I repeat that again. Sometimes it's not the devil that is the devourer, it's what? It's foolishness that it's the devourer. So you find out these are the words associated with foolishness. To gulp, to spend. The fool spends whatever they get. The foolish man rates his life by how much he spends. The foolish man rates his life by how much he spends. So you will see the man say, well, God has blessed me. This is how much I spend on this. So it is more like the more you can spend, the wiser you are. But you see, like I explained to you on Sunday, from the book of Proverbs, we can get practical wisdom for living. Here we just find the characteristics of a man who there's so much treasure, there's so much he can make do with what he has. But rather, he spends whatever he gets. And I've explained this to you before, and I'll say it one more time. No salary is enough for anybody. You know, some of you earn like maybe 20,000 a month, and somebody earns 50,000 a month. Another person earns 30,000 a month, and you just feel, man, the day if you earn 20,000 a month, you tell yourself, man, the day I will earn 100,000, I'll not pray again. All my prayer points are over. And then you earn 100,000. And you just realize that, oh no, if it can just be 250 and the 50 on top, And then you earn 250 and it's not enough. And then you see somebody earning 1 million and then they say they are going on strike. And you ask yourself, what are you striking for? If I earn 1 million, I will not strike for the rest of my life. But you realize that the more your income increases, the more the tendency to spend comes up. So spending is a constant in life. If you do not discipline your spending with 20,000, you will not discipline it with 20 million. See, your life will never get better than it is right now if you have more income. Your life will only, whatever choices you're making right now will only be amplified by your income. So note this carefully. Money does not change people. Money reveals people. So we say that again. Money does not do what? Does not change people. Money reveals people. Some people you think are humble because they are poor. There is a forced humility that poverty brings. And so when they get money, say, oh, money changed this person. No, money just revealed his true person. So money amplifies what you have on your inside. Okay. Now, there is no amount of money that will be enough for you. You have to say, listen, you have to sink that into your head. There is no amount of money that will be enough for you. If not, some of our leaders will not be doing what they're doing. A man has a decent salary, his house is free, his car is free. Even they even give him a free dog. You don't have to pay. The dog in the compound is free, paid for by the government. The guy who takes the dog to eat is paid for. The dog food is paid for. Even newspaper is free. And the guy still steals. So you ask yourself, what are you stealing to buy? Do you understand? Your flight is free. You have a driver that drives you. You have furniture allowance. You have clothing allowance. Yet you are still stealing. So the question is, what are you stealing to buy? So you realize that it is not because the man does not have. It is because of the innate greed and covetousness that is resident in the human heart that can only be cured by contentment in Christ. It is in all of us. It is only in Christ that we learn contentment. Nobody grew up with contentment. Everybody grew up greedy. We learn it as we receive the nature of Christ. Are we together? Okay. Wisdom is associated with storing, with saving. Foolishness is associated with spending, with swallowing, with gulping. Let's look at the life of Jesus. Go with me to John chapter 6. And this is very interesting. In fact, as I was studying this, I thought about this and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Look at the life of Jesus. John chapter 6, and we're going to read verse 12 to 13. John chapter 6, and we're going to read verse 12 to 13. You know, this series is just practical, something to get your life on the road going. John chapter 6, verse 12 to 13. This was after feeding the 5,000 and all those guys. Verse 12. So when they were filled, he said to his disciples, Jesus said to his, this is Jesus, master of the universe. He said to his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain so that nothing is lost. I mean, here, Jesus just fed over 5,000 people. 5,000 people. You know, 5,000 people is not small. Jesus just fed 5,000 people. And the next instruction he gives to the disciples is go gather the fragments. Even if you were one of those disciples, you will be angry like, this master is too stingy. 5,000 people. The question is, what are you using the fragment for? Now let's see verse 13. Therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments of the 5 barley loaves which were left over by those who had eaten. The question I'll tell people is this: how many loaves of bread did Jesus use to initiate the miracle? Now you understand something. They gathered up 12 baskets, which means that what Jesus used to initiate the miracle, the fragment after the miracle was much more than the original seed for the miracle. You know, most times that's where the problem is. We don't have the mindset of gathering the fragments. You know, we live in a culture where once the fragments are scattered around your compound, it shows that you are really enjoying life. It's not poverty mentality to gather the fragment. It is kingdom mentality that is against waste. Look at what Jesus says. Gather up the fragments that remain so nothing is lost. You must have that approach towards resource. You must have a frugal approach towards resource. There are fragments. Now, I'm not just talking about money. I'm going to deal with that as we go on. There are fragments of your time you need to gather up. The time you spend in watching television, if you gather it up, it will make an hour to read. Are you following what I'm saying? You need to have a mindset. Are there fragments in my life? Are there areas in my life that I need to gather up the fragments? If you gather up the little fragments of discipline, you will become a disciplined person. I've observed this about life. I really think, and I believe this, that people ultimately determine where they end up in life by the choices they make every day. It doesn't matter what choice you've made 2 days back. If you make a wrong choice today, you can invalidate the choice you've made. Every day, you need to keep making the right choice. Are you following what I'm saying? Okay, let's look at Mark chapter 8 and verse 20. Mark chapter 8 and verse 20. Jesus had a mindset of gathering the fragments. The disciples had to go through the crowd of 5,000 people. And Jesus was saying, make sure you pick this. Make sure you pick that. Make sure you gather the fragments. You know, sometimes the power of fragments is realized by those who do piggy bank. How many of you know what piggy bank is, right? The small container with a hole. Every time you keep the change, and you break it open by December. Some of you realize that, wow, I've saved 20,000. You know, for some of you, you cannot gather the fragments because even the piggy bank is fragmented. You have broken it to the point where there's nothing to keep anymore. After a while, I say, just break it. Just break it until there's nowhere to break anymore. The power of the fragments. Mark chapter 8 and verse 20. Look at this. Also, when I broke the 7 for the 4,000, how many large baskets full of fragments did you take up? And they said, 7. It's important for us to understand that many times when Jesus did this feeding program, Jesus was as passionate about initiating the miracle and equally passionate about gathering the fragments.
This broadcast is made possible by friends and partners of Present Truth. To become a partner, please call +234 805 888 7575. God bless you. Pastor Maxwell's messages are available in over a dozen books and 1,000 audio and video formats. To purchase this title and other titles by Pastor Maxwell Ogaga, please call +234 805 888 7575.
How do you build a house? One block upon another. How do you increase? One savings after another. One investment after another. Gathering the fragments. There's much treasure in the dwelling of the wise. There's so much that you can do with your life if you will be frugal towards life. If you'll be disciplined about life. What are some of these treasures that people have and they're not conscious of it? Number one, let me start with the one that really, money. Finances. Proverbs 21:17. Finances. Proverbs 21 verse 17. Look at what it says. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. Proverbs 21 verse 17. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. You cannot love pleasure and be prosperous. That's what the scripture says. Most times, I don't know, if you read a lot, how many of you have read about sports stars? I don't want to mention people's names, but you read about some sports stars who had money in those days, and 10, 15 years down the line, you're struggling to get a job. There's one African footballer that comes so much in my mind right now. Was a fantastic player, played for one of the top premiership club in Europe. I think towards the beginning of last year, the club he played for, maybe at the earlier stages of his career, had to offer him a job just to keep him afloat. What does that tell us? Sometimes we waste a lot of resources just for pleasure. There's so much you can do with your finances, but you put pleasure first before saving. You put pleasure first before investment. You're a young man. You're trying to start your life. You're able to gather some thousands of naira. Straight, you headed for the Samsung shop. Now you have a Samsung phone and you can't pay rent. Or you have resources. You head straight for the LED shops. You want a curved television. You know, one thing I've realized about stuff, I don't know, but we all don't agree, but one thing I've realized about stuff is that anything you are going for, God, I want this thing, the day you buy it, the whole joy is gone. Now I'm telling you, have you heard people who, have you come across people who have cars, and you say, why don't you drive to that place? You say, oh, I'm tired of driving, I just want to walk. How many of you have cars and sometimes you just want to walk? And you know, people who are walking don't understand. The day I have my car, even my car will cry. I will drive the car to my bedroom and sleep. How will I walk? You know, but you realize that there is always this sense about life you must control. The sense of what I don't have will give me joy. And what I have, I'm not happy about it. You have to choose in whatever circumstances to be happy. Your joy in life is never externally orchestrated. It has to come from the inside of you. That's why Paul could write to the saints in Philippi, in the book of Philippians, writing from a Roman cell. He says, rejoice, I tell you, rejoice. The guy in the cell was telling people outside to rejoice. And I guess there were people in church when they were reading it that day and say, Paul says we should rejoice. And they will ask them, what are we rejoicing about? Is he not in prison? The man said rejoice. We must understand the power of conservation. We must learn to be conservative. We don't have that approach, especially in this part of the world where it is showmanship. Where it is showmanship, you hear people come to you and say, at this your level, you can't be driving this car. At this your level, you can't be wearing this shirt. At this your level, you can't be shopping in these places. At this your level, your child can't be going to this school. You know, but you realize that sometimes you ask the people who are making that statement, what school did you attend to get to this level? You see, let me explain something to you. In life, never underplay the role that the grace of God can play in your life. Are you following what I'm saying? Never underplay, never downgrade it. You know, the challenge we have is sometimes when the Lord has prospered us, we always come and say it is the might of our hands. It's almost like the Lord prospers us to a point and then we can say, it's fine, it's okay. Don't give me any counsel again. From here, I know the road. Are you following what I'm saying? Finances. Do you have a savings plan? You don't save because it's much. You save because you have to save from the little available. Do you have an investment plan? Or are you spending? What are you buying? What are you planning to buy? Can you do without it? We must ask ourselves this question. Can you do without it? Must you buy it? Do you really need it? If you love pleasure, you can't be rich. Most wealthy people I know that are biblically wealthy, not those who stole money. You know, have you observed sometimes when people drive cars? Well, I've not found it common here, but people drive cars and drive it in a way, and then you hear another person says he's not the one who has the car. Have you heard that kind of statement? Because you know, when you have your own car and you enter a bomb, what happens? You respond also. It's as if it was your head. You just it's the car. Yes, this car is the sweat of my blood. But you see a guy, you just give him the car, he just drives. There's something about responsibility and ownership. Something about responsibility and ownership. That when you own something, you assume responsibility for it. So in our finances, we must have a frugal approach. When we give, we sow, we give to the kingdom, we help people, but we're not wasteful. You must always watch for waste in your life. What areas are you wasting money? Praise God. Sometimes it can just be fantastic habits, not bad habits. I remember one time when we just got married, then we used to like this burger. There was one burger in Warri then, one place, Sizzlers or something. Their burger was really nice. And it was almost becoming like daily contribution. Every Sunday afternoon we bought burgers. Every Sunday afternoon we bought burgers. Until one day I calculated the number of Sundays. We're three then. Three, yeah. I think we just had my son. So I buy one, buy for my wife, buy for my son. Then the person who you are sending, you cannot send somebody to go and buy 3 burgers. And when he comes, you now say, God bless you. He might lay curse on you going forward. So the guy cannot be buying burger every Sunday for you, and then you're not telling him it is well with you. Your life will never go down. The guy won't show up again the next time you call him. So we ended up buying 4. And after about 6 months, I calculated how much we've been using every Sunday. When I realized the total amount, the desire, the taste, the passion, till today I still struggle to eat burgers. When I calculate how much, I just realized that God has finally opened my eyes to the devourer. So sometimes it might not be bad things, but they are just little habits that help you to leak your finances. It can just be a bottle of Coke every day, 31 bottles every month, 362 bottles in a year. It's crates of malts in your body. You're almost like a depot. And you say, I just like Coke. You have to check, where is the leak in your finances? Are we together? Might be good things, might just be suya. Might just be no, I won't say that now. It might just be just this person you just like casually. You are always just recharging our phone. There is nothing, it's just my friend, 1,000. Every time you say no airtime, you have become MTN distributor to this particular lady. Yeah, don't worry, I'll recharge your phone. Airtime. You realize that you have bought a whole company of airtime in 1 year. I'm not saying be stingy. I'm just saying watch out for the leaks. Is that okay? In my mind, just quickly thinking, I'm even thinking in those times where we used to go to the shops to buy card, we were more disciplined than now that the banks have helped us with code. Because you just quickly type *737*. Let me just do 2,000. And sometimes you have to watch all of those stuff. All right. Okay. Number 2, relationships. Relationships are treasures. Proverbs 27 verse 17. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Relationships are treasures. But most of us, we waste relationships. You have someone who is good to you. You milk them until they don't want to pick your calls anymore. The fact that somebody has helped you once doesn't mean they should help you for the rest of your life. You must learn to manage access. Relationships. Some of you have beautiful relationships with people. You're close with people. Instead of taking advantage of it to learn, to gain wisdom, you just destroy them. I'll tell you this. Relationship is one of the highest level of wealth. Are you following what I'm saying? Let me say this to you. Sometimes people can come to you, right? Sometimes people can come to you and say, if you need anything, ask me or let me know. You see, that's not a statement for you to go and do Thanksgiving. And then you get back home, you now list like 1 million things. And then you keep reminding them, but you were the one that said, if you need anything. You see, those are statements that are like joker cards, that are like last cards, that are like when you get into almost an impossible situation, you pull them. Don't milk relationships before they are due. Don't let your relationship be parasitic. Don't let your relationship be one-sided. It says, as iron sharpens iron, not as iron sharpens wood. You can't be the only receiving party in a relationship. Are you following what I'm saying? You can't be the only what? Receiving party in a relationship. I'll say this quickly. I remember one of my mentors, Pastor Benga Rehoboth. Was a pastor with Winners then. He used to help me a lot in school, not financially, but just give me resource, give me access. Just come to his house and do stuff. He's helped me for like 2 years. I was in university, then he was posted to Umuahia. It was the first time I went to the east, to Umuahia then. And I just thought, I'm going to have holidays. What can I do for this man? So I just told him, can I come spend some time with you? I want to spend a week with you just to help you wash your car. And I traveled all the way from Warri then to Umuahia just to do what? Just to help him wash his car.
We know you've been blessed by this telecast. To become a partner, please call +234 805 888 7575. Pastor Maxwell's messages are available in over a dozen books and 1,000 audio and video formats. To purchase this title and other titles by Pastor Maxwell Ogaga, please call +234 805 888 7575 or send us an email, office@pastormax.ng. Also available are free downloads from www.pastormax.ng. God bless you.